off. So then if I do the monitor off, I can't hear myself speak. Testing, testing. Let me see if this fixes things. Off. So then if I do the monitor off, I can't hear myself speak. There we go. Wow. Testing, testing. Let me see if this fixes things. All right. So now we have volume. And I'm back. Look at that. All right. Well, how do I, on my phone, just get the chat going here? All right. Well, I'll have to set up a second monitor. That's not good. And I lost all my filters. Well, now you guys can hear me gripe, which is mostly what people listen to me do on here. All right, let me add this stuff back in. I wanted the noise gate. All right, testing, testing. Can you guys hear me now? Let me get the volume on my phone just to make sure. All right, so that's still going. Let me close that. And then the other thing I wanted to do was, what else did I have on here? Filters. I had a noise suppression. See if that helps. Sounds a lot cleaner. Did order a longer cable so I can put my laptop under the desk, hoping that'll dampen some of the sound. I don't know if I want to run on my laptop because it's using a lot of CPU. Well, hey, look, I'm live. Let's do it live. All right, so what was I doing? I don't know. It's been like 2 years, maybe a year since I've done the streaming stuff. I've been working on my game engine at night. Usually I've been very private, but if you guys haven't seen, this is my game engine, Pixel Vision 8. I should probably close the chat here. So I don't know. I was just going to play around for a second, just see how this runs. So let's create something new. Close this. And let's create a new Nest project, and let's just make some sprites move around on the screen. So, all right, so I create a new Nest project. I wonder if I can make this guy bigger. Let's go into the settings. If you haven't seen Pixel Vision 8 in a long time, it's quite advanced now. Let's see if we can get this to 4x its scale. There we go. Yeah, so basically I set up a new Nintendo project, and if you run it, it just gives you some text saying that this is an empty project, blah, 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 blah. Go read the manual. And it's automatically configured. Screen chat is blocking my UI. Yeah, I know. I don't know what to do with this chat thing. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's gonna happen, huh? Does it really matter if you see the chat on the screen? I feel like for the playback it is, but all right, well, we'll turn it off right now. I haven't done any of the branding or any of this stuff. I got to really figure out how I want to do this again. Anyway, so here's just the Nintendo game. These are all the colors that exist on the original Nintendo. It actually supported up to 64 colors, but a lot of them were black. They were just out of scope for what it could output. So I've just sort of simplified that. And yeah, the chat fade. I was playing around with that, but but I think at this resolution, like the best part of the ultra wide monitor was like I had so much room for the extra stuff. I'll go back and look at it. I just wanted to test to see how this works for the night. I wanted to start getting back into doing some dev and streaming it. So I got some sprites which are automatically loaded. If you look at the project, basically when it creates a new project, it automatically generates some colors. It has some data, which lets you go in and configure all the properties. So right now this is set up to simulate what a Nintendo would have been like. In fact, the other thing that we can do is we can add some overscan. So this is going to crop 8 pixels from the right and 8 pixels from the bottom, which is what the Nintendo actually sort of did on its own. We'll save these changes. And this is the native. Ooh, that's actually wrong. 240. That should be 240. Now if we rerun this, the text will be a little bit bigger. Wow, do I have an error in the code? That's not good. And we'll just call this Twitch demo game. Although I'm actually streaming on a whole bunch of different platforms. Can you export to Flash, please? Yes, yes, I definitely can. That's next on the feature list, right after HTML5. Actually, this does support HTML5. So, all right, we'll save this guy out. And, oh, you know what it was? I see what it was. 256 was the tile map. And 240 is the resolution. So 256 by 240 is the native Nintendo resolution. And there's 8 pixels on the right and the bottom of overscan. And I only have 64 sprites that I can have on the screen. So everything's saved. If I go back into the project, you'll see we have the colors, we have some code. There is a built-in code editor, but it's mostly just bad. It does sort of work, but I wouldn't want to code in this. I don't know, like on fantasy consoles, people are like really into having a code editor in the actual tool. I'll show you sort of how I do my editing. And what else is here? There's some info files, so I can like load up JSON into the text editor. And this just shows you like, although the text is a little bit bunched up, I need to fix the font, but it shows you some of the metadata for the game. There's music, saves, and the sprites and tile map. So if we open up the sprites, basically it's just loading in the default font, and these become the sprites that you have. So I was just going to do a little something. Since I got some people's attention here, I figured why not show off what I've been up to for a while. So let's go here, and basically all the games are stored in a folder on your computer, and you can copy this folder out. I'm going to go to the desktop and delete that photo. Let's go to the folder. So basically Pixel Vision 8 just creates a folder inside of like your shared or your application support, and you'll have a workspace, and in the workspace is the sandbox, which is the current game that you're working on. So we can take this and we can actually drag this into Atom. And one of the other things that I've done is I wrote a little plugin. Let's see if this actually loads up. Yeah, so there's a Pixel Vision 8 Game Creator plugin, and this gives you autocomplete. So let's open up the text editor, and I want to see, man, I don't know how anyone would work at this resolution. Let's close this up. So off the bat, it's just going to display this message. I'm going to delete all this stuff. We don't really need any of this. We'll delete the default message, and we'll delete all this stuff, and we'll leave everything as is. So now if we save this, go back into the game creator and refresh, you'll see it's black. So there's a bunch of different options we can do for background color. Like we could set it to 0, which is the first color. And if I hold Control-4, that'll refresh. So each of these colors basically just has an ID. So if we go into the color picker here, and let's say we wanted to make this red, we can just set this to 39, save it, switch back over, and, oh, I should actually play it. So Control-1 will play, and we have a very bright red screen. We'll exit out of this. Now, let's go back to, what was the color? It was 32? 32 is the Nintendo black, which actually is a full black. Some of these colors aren't, like the white isn't 100% white on the Nintendo. I don't think there is a pure white. And one of the things I wanted to do is, I guess I'll just have some like I could probably make a pretty interesting little sprite here. Let's make a sprite, and I'll talk through sort of how this works. So let's start with, whoops, not var, doing some C#. So everything's written in Lua in the standalone game creator. And we'll do local position equals x equals 0, y equals 0. I don't do a lot of live coding for Lua, so I'll probably be messing this up. Let's see, what else do we want to try? So now, the basic way to just display anything on the screen is just to call draw sprite. So you can see all of the code hinting. There's a whole bunch of different draw sprite options. There's draw sprite, which allows you to do a single sprite. Draw sprites, which will do multiple sprites, and then you define a width, and it turns it into like sort of a grid. And then there's a sprite block, which you give it a start ID for the upper left-hand corner, and then a width, and it'll pull the sprites out for you automatically from memory. So we'll just do a draw sprite, and this is going to be sprite 16, which is 0, and we're going to set it to position X, position Y, and we don't need any of this other stuff right now. So at its core, if we just did this, we're going to see this 0 in the upper left-hand corner. Let's take a look at if we want to do draw sprites. If we did, we need to make an array or a table. In this case, we would do 16, 17, 18, 19. And then I believe it is X, Y, and width. And so if we save this and restart, we're going to get an error. Cannot convert a nil type control type in 32. Oh, whoops. The width is going to be 2. Let's restart that. Now we have a sprite, or now we have like a graphic that is actually made up of 4 sprites. So this is now 16 by 16. And what we could do is, let's just move this guy down to, let's make its Y position 36. And if we reset it, you'll see it now move down a little bit. And on every update, what we're going to do is we're just going to add 1. So let's do, actually, we can do this the correct way. We'll do local speed, whoops, equals, let's do a speed of 10. And we're going to take the position X, and we're going to set it equal to position X plus speed multiplied by time delta. And then the last thing we want to do here is math seal. So this is going to create a float. The problem with that is that everything is going to be converted into an int. Hey, new stream. Hey, how's it going? I know I've been gone for a while, so I thought I'd give this a try again. If you're just joining, I'm just playing around, testing out the stream for the night, and showing a little bit of Pixel Vision 8, which is what I've been working on at my nights for a while now. So now, here we go. We have 4 sprites moving together as one object, and every frame they're going to be moving whatever the speed is multiplied by the time delta, which is the difference between the 2 frames. So, all right, so Pickle Power is asking, is the Game Creator Pro or Pixel Vision, or is Game Creator Pro a Pixel Vision, a version of Pixel Vision? So yeah, so that is a good question. I will show you, I'll try to explain it real quick, but basically, SDK.com. So Pixel Vision is a C# framework that basically represents a fantasy console that's built in pure C#. And oops, I hit the mic. So this is the core of everything that I've built, and the Game Creator is basically like a standalone development environment that sits on top of it. So Game Creator Pro would be on itch. Hey, look at that, 4.2 rating, going solid. So you could basically just run Pixel Vision 8 in C# directly in Unity, which is where I mostly develop it. It also runs on Monogame. Well, we're working on a runner for it. And there's basically a Unity runner. There's a new version that I'll be releasing that has all the examples and everything. The Game Creator is a standalone version of what I compiled out from Unity, but it also has all these tools. And that's sort of what you get. So there's a free version. I think it's just Game Creator free. Yeah. So there's a free version, and the free version basically has all the stuff on the left, everything on the right with the exception of the text editor. So the color, the sprite editor, the tile map editor, all these things are disabled in the free version. And then some of the stuff that you can do that's kind of interesting is that I basically use the Game Creator as a way of sketching out ideas in Lua. And then I go back and I'll write it in C# if I want to like expand on the game. And for the most part, I've been porting a lot of those games over. A lot of the demos. So in here, there's a bunch of built-in demos. So stuff like, here's a canvas demo that shows you how you can build a very simple drawing app. There's demos for, whoops, why didn't that remember that? Oh, this must be a broken build. There's a demo that shows off how to draw sprites. So I've taken all these, I wrote them in Lua, and then it didn't take me very long to port them back over to C#. Even things that are like a little bit more complicated, like this tile map demo. This right here was rather easy to port back over, and it's just some basic stuff that just shows you how you scroll around the camera. The skeletons are sprites, so some of them are above the background layer, some of them are below the background layer, and the water stuff is all done with palette swapping. So this is running pretty much like what a basically like what a Game Boy would run. And the gems, the gem number is the number of sprites that are on the screen, and the key is the frames per second. And actually, while this thing is running, I just wanted to take a look at OBS. Oh, actually, that won't happen. I'll put OBS over here in the corner. I know it gives you that like weird mirror thing. I just wanted to see what. Yeah, the frame rate was dropping a little bit, but the CPU is not bad. I mean, with the exception of like the sound of my fan in the background, it's actually running pretty good. So I mean, this should normally run it around like, oh, there we go. So now that OBS isn't rendering to the screen, it's up to about like 54 frames per second, which is pretty accurate. It should be to 60 frames per second. It really all depends. So and there's like a bunch of other demos too, like a micro platformer, which is a port. Matt, I forget what Matt's last name is right now, but he wrote this in Pico 8 and then ported it over to Pixel Vision 8, and it runs pretty good. And it's a pretty decent little demo that shows off sort of how to do some basic collision detection and movement and stuff like that. Anyway, so I ported all that stuff over to C#. So the framework was really designed to be a pure C# engine, but for people who don't want to deal with that or work in Unity, they can just use the standalone. So that's what I wound up building with Pixel Vision 8. I mean, I started this like 2 years ago. So I was just playing around with some sprites. Let's see. All right, so this is moving really slow. Let's put this up to like 30 and refresh it. All right, let's do 100. There we go. So now we got a little bit of movement. Maybe we'll make this like 64. Yeah, Pixel Vision 8 has the clock is locked at 1985. So I went for, there's a lot of details that I put into Pixel Vision 8 versus like something like Pico 8. Like there's a lot of fantasy consoles out there now, but there's a lot of details I put into this, and I really wanted to make this feel more like an early Macintosh than some like sort of DOS error command line prompt. Like there's no command line in this. Everything is all like WYSI wig. So even like setting up any of these projects and trying to figure out like what system you want to use, all the saving stuff, even exporting. So I should be able to, so that's the game. I don't think I didn't install the runners, but I could try to just do a quick build. So now it exported. If I go back into my workspace folder, whoops, I lose the mouse. There's a builds folder, and here's my Twitch demo, and there's a WebGL build. So if I can't do it right now because I'm not logged in, but so Pixelvision 8 is a multiple console player. Yeah, so the whole goal with Pixelvision 8 is it's really just a dumb renderer, and it understands the concept of how old game engines used to render, or how old systems used to render. The real trick is each game has a config file, and you can go in and customize all the settings. You can tell it like how much sprite memory you have, how many colors per sprite, what is the display size, how many sprites can be on the screen at a given time. And when you customize this stuff, you end up with something that actually emulates like an old Nintendo or a Master System or a Game Boy. And that's sort of the beauty of what Pixelvision 8 is. I wanted you to have something that you can scale, and of course, like if you wanted, you could even just go and set the draws to 0, hit save, run the game, and then you could have a Nintendo that could basically draw as many sprites as possible. Let me reset this back to 64 and save. So I noticed something. By default, the draw sprites is going to render. It's going to stop rendering the sprite when it goes off screen. So let's get this guy to repeat. So I don't remember offhand draws. It's funny, like I built all these APIs, but I still don't remember how they all work. So we'll just do it this way. We'll copy and paste this in, and I'll walk through some of the other options. So draw mode, hold on. So I gotta get used to answering questions again. The profiles for these settings are meant to simulate the environment. Yeah. All right, no, it's okay. You can ask all the questions you want. All right, so let's see here. So draw mode basically lets you target the layers, and these are sort of based around how like Super Nintendo worked. The original Nintendo did have the basic concept of like depth sorting. So it's a mix between like layers and depth sorting. So in this case, we'll do draw mode sprite, but there's also something that's called like draw mode. Like you can draw to the tile map, you can draw to a UI layer, which wasn't present on the Nintendo. We can do color offset. So this is kind of cool. This lets you shift the colors. So we'll leave it at 0 for right now. So on screen, we'll set this to true. Use scroll position, we'll set this to false, and I'm not going to give it any arbitrary bounds. So basically what that means is we're going to tell it that we always want it to be on the screen. So setting it to false, I believe, this first value, setting this to false, will hide the sprite when it goes off screen. By default, on the Nintendo, sprites would actually wrap. You couldn't count more than 256 values for the X position or even the Y position, but you got away with it because the Y position was only 240. So one of the ways you'd have to do this is you'd use the overscan. So when something went off screen and it was hidden, you would sort of hide it. The draw sprites does this automatically for you, but you have to make sure you set overscan. So I'll walk through that in a second. Then the other option, I just set defaults as well, which if you're scrolling the screen, it'll offset the draw sprites based on the screen scrolling, which we're not doing. If we go back here and let's rerun this, I got an error. What's the error? Draw mode above. Nope. Cannot access field above SD. Okay, draw mode sprite. All right, have I forgotten how to use my own game engine? Why is that? All right, let's do some debugging. So that works. Draw mode, sprite. Huh, did I break something? Well, let's read the manual. So at gitbook.com/@pixelvision8 is a really handy manual for people like me who wrote the game engine and can't remember the APIs. There's an API cheat sheet, but what I'm really looking for is, did I put the draw mode? What am I writing? All right, I guess I broke something. That's strange. Huh. Okay, maybe this version just has this broken for some reason. Where's my mouse? There we go. Draw mode UI. All right, well, maybe it's broken. So look at that. I guess I'm not gonna be able to do this after all. That's why we test. Well, at least I got something rendering. That's really weird. Why would this not work? Let's see if we can just debug this real quick. So, go into the log. Lots of errors. System unauthorized exception. Access to... Oh, cool. That's broken too. Hey, look at that. A lot of broken stuff. Oh, I see why it's not saving, because it's not in the application folder. Anyways, that's some broken stuff. So, oh, and now it's going to give me all kinds of broken errors. Right. Strange. I wonder why. Let me run this and check out the log here. Builds, workspace, temp. Well, why didn't it clear this? So this is working. Why is this not? All right, draw sprite. What was it? 16 position math seal position X. You're just joining. I was just testing out the stream. I haven't done some streaming in a long time and figured I'd just play around with my own game engine, which for some reason is giving me some problems. Draw mode, sprite. Huh. Cannot convert a user data to a... Oh, right. I forgot to... You know what? I think I know what I was doing wrong. Wait, did I have... Did I pass in the true and false stuff? Yeah, here, look, I totally screwed this up. Okay, let's try this again. So there's a ability to flip a sprite vertically and horizontally, and I think I just wasn't taking into account. So sprite, here, draw sprites. Oops, I wanted the autocomplete. And let's do this. And now, here we go. False, false. Draw mode, sprite. And let's just hide the rest of this stuff. There we go. Whew. Okay. So now I could do this. So if we wanted to change the color offset, we can change this value. and refreshing it will just cycle through the colors. This is going to be a little bit broken on the Nintendo color palette simply because the color that the text is this. So adding 3 will move it over 1, 2, 3. So I think if we wanted to really shift the color, I should probably change the template to use this as the first color. That's right, 1, 2, 3. It should be this purple, right? Yeah. So like I feel like that's like a very Nintendo purple. I don't know. This looks very familiar to me. All right, so next is the on screen. So let's set this to true. And now when it wraps, it should come back around. Nope. Maybe true means we probably set it to only display when it's on the screen. Here we go. Let's restart. Yay. Okay, now it's wrapping. So this is sort of like the advantage of why I wrote the game creator, is because it's really easy and very quick to sort of like play around with Lua versus doing all this stuff in C# and having to recompile and wait for all that to happen. There's some other properties which we don't really need to use, and that basically is some sprites moving. I wonder, the thing I wanted to test out, I don't think I use it. I don't think I even have a test for it. Draw sprite block. If we set the sprite block to 16, we'll copy over the X and Y position, and now in this case we need to define a width and height. And everything else should just be the same. Yeah, okay, this uses the same use scroll position on screen as the other stuff. So let's just paste this stuff over. And what we could do is we can add just 32 to this value, and it should basically move at the same. So let's give that a try. There we go. So you can sort of see, since it's now wrapping, it's picking the sprites based on what's in memory. So if we go back here and we look at the sprite block, is going to basically go over to 0. It's interesting that it went to 8 and 9. I wonder if that's a bug. 0, 1, 8. It's either a bug or I'm just not displaying. I'm not. All right, well, the biggest thing I'm at right now, like pretty much everything is stable. I'm just going through and testing out a lot of these bugs and features and seeing whether things work or not. But the cool thing about this sprite block memory is that we can just increase the size and we can get like a lot more characters out. So 8, 9, colon, semicolon. 8, 9, colon, semicolon. So I guess it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. 1. And then it should be the @ sign. So I guess it's, yeah, all right. So that is being done through 8. I wonder why. All right, well, something else for me to test. But I think that's enough. Wow, is it already 9:45? Time flies when you're having fun. The one thing I wanted to test out, but I don't think I finished setting it up, is audio from the computer. Is there a visual look for viewing a block from an array? I don't know what. I have to go back and try to figure out what is actually doing it. We should probably, while I'm here, let me see if I can get this restream. Here was the chat that it generated. Get a link. What did I want to do here? Maybe let's do compact bottom, message opacity, chat background scaled. and hide message after what, like 10 seconds? That work? Maybe that's like too much. Do 5 seconds. All right, so put that there, and let's go back into OBS. I do like the boxes. Make these guys smaller. 50%. And see if we get this here. So put this here, and let's just make this 215, so that's half the size. Nope, I did that the wrong way. Math. That was 430. Let's make this 225. All right, somebody say something. That should, hopefully it doesn't block too much of text, or too much of the screen at least. I'll preview this on my phone. Working on Mixer stream now. Connected to all 3 channels. All right, somebody say something. Let's type and see what it has to say. Oh. While that happens, oh, I see. There's like a huge delay in the stream. That's fun. And I'll watch this for 1 second. I just want to see. I sent a message. Hopefully it pops up. There we go. I guess that's much better. I don't know. Can you even read that? All right. I'll tweak that stuff later. It's these are all the little details I need to work out over the next few days. But I'm back. The other thing I wanted to do was, let's see if I can capture audio output capture. Let's see if we can capture some stuff from, oh, see, I can't capture it from the computer. I got to figure out how to get the stuff from the computer, because audio output capture. Because the thing that's really cool about Pixel Vision 8, which I want to start showing off a little bit more, is, whoops, let me get rid. Are all these audio tools. So I basically built SFXer into Pixel Vision 8, but the really cool thing that Krister, who goes by McFunkyPants on Twitter, set up was basically this just randomly generates music, but it actually sounds good. Well, that was really loud on my end. So anyways, this is Pixel Vision 8. Does export work? That's probably gonna throw an error. Oh wow, it seemed to have actually worked. I wonder what build this is. Sandbox loops. Oh hey, it outputted a I don't want to open up iTunes ever. That actually generated out a wave. Let's see if there's any data in there. Okay. Hey, look at that. It actually outputted data. So this is some of the stuff that I've been working on for the past 2 years, an hour a night. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff you can do with this music generator. You can sort of configure it however you want, and then it'll make some pretty good music. So I think that's going to be the end of the stream for the night. So thank you guys for tuning in. And once I get my act together, I'll come up with a more regular schedule. I'm not traveling as much as I used to. That might make it a little bit easier. But, you know, go download the free version of Pixel Vision 8 or the pro version. Your donations to support this great project are greatly appreciated. And if you're kind of curious about what it can do, if you just go to pixelvision8.itch.io, there's a whole bunch of demos online. You can sort of play with the demos. I mean, they're not very interactive. I do think the Campus one is pretty cool. And Reaper Boy was a game I made for Ludum Dare that is built on Pixel Vision 8, although it's actually broken in the newer build, so I got to go back and fix it. But this lets you, you can actually see like a pretty good game. I made this with Cast Pixel. Christina did all the artwork as always, which she's been tweeting out. We have like a redesigned version. And oops, that is running really slow. Basically, ooh, the sound is terrible. Well, it sort of runs. It's a fun little game. I was very proud of it. It's like really loud on my end. Well, anyways, so that is that's my stream. Oh, Pico was asking something. Does it so it runs on Unity? Confused, can it run on a mobile device? I'll do another stream that sort of explains it. Basically, you can hold on. I'll show you real quick. So if I go back to Pixel Vision 8, Pixel Vision SDK. So if you download this Unity runner, the current build isn't that great, but this build right here, which is this branch that I'm currently working on, let's see, maybe I can just clone it and I'll show you. Yeah, let's have like a little trial by fire. So documents, projects, let's open up a new terminal folder and we'll do git clone. So this is going to install the Unity runner. And then what we want to do is git check out branch v1.8.0 features. Oops. Git check out branch origin v1.8.0 features. Oops. Oh, I'm an idiot. Unity runner. So git fetch and then git check out origin v1.8.0 features. Here, if you want to create a new branch that retains commits you created, you may do so later. That is now I've detached the head. But that's fine. I'm not going to track this. I have to actually be very careful because I am checking it out as a contributor. The other thing I want to do is git submodule init, git submodule update, and cd assets / unity or Pixel Vision SDK git status git branch. So git check out origin the 1.8.0 features. All right, so both of these should, no wait, this is detached to head. Working directory, git fetch, git check out origin the 1.8.0 features. I think it's gonna work. I gotta I had to look back into how to set all this up. But anyways, Unity, I'll just open it up so I can show you guys. For right now, this one was built for 5.63. There's some problems in like the newer versions of Unity with WebGL, but long story short, once I get this all cleaned up, you basically open up the Unity runner, and you can either write your game in C# or you can create the game in the game creator and take the Lua file. It'll zip it up for you. So when I exported, so if we go back to the workspace folder, you'll see in workspace builds Twitch demo. When I outputted this Twitch demo, it actually gave me a .pv8 file. And what? This is going to be all kinds of broken. Now, if I go into demos, scenes, let's just try to run one of these guys. Hey, it works. That's strange. All right, so this is Pixel Vision 8 literally running in Unity. So because the core of it's all C#, what I've done is I've taken out the basic stuff, and I stripped it down to just what it needs to run. So long story short is that you can compile anything from Unity onto mobile, and you can have it just run Pixel Vision 8. So like as an example, if I was to create like a new, let's create a new scene here. We'll just duplicate this. They're not a duplicate. I don't want to merge into existing. I just wanted to create this. And we'll just call this, what was it, stream test. And now all I got to do is in the streaming assets folder, reveal in Finder, open this up and put this guy here. And we can open up that scene that I just created, which is streaming test, and click on the version of it, and we just got to tell it the path to the file, the Lua file, or the Pixel Vision 8 file. And if we run it, it should, no, it broke. Directory not found. Studio project Junior asset streaming. Yeah, Twitch demo game. Oh, because it needs to be a /. Nope, is it still not finding it? Well, I'll just put this in test, throw it in here. Which demo game? I can't remember. Did I have to have a trailing slash or not? Let's see. Demos. All right, so let's. Oh, you know what I probably need to do? I need to do .pv8. The other stuff are just folders. Nope. Directory loading service. I don't think I may not have actually tested this. So here's what we're going to do. We'll just convert this back into a zip. So I'm currently working on a build that's supposed to clean all this stuff up. I haven't gotten to doing my testing yet. Part of what I actually wanted to do was start testing it on the stream and trying to fix things. Use zip. So all PV8 files are just zip files. So we'll just expand this, turn it back into a directory, and remove the extension. All right, hopefully it works. Yay, there we go. So in those 18 easy steps, you could basically take a game creator project and just run it inside of Unity. In fact, the problem was that I didn't, where did I put that game creator? Because I didn't export the latest build of it. Let me go back and do. So we went back into the game creator. Where was that? I think that was here in the shared. There we go. So yeah, so long story short, you basically can turn any of these games into mobile games. You'd have to write a touch adapter for the controller, but that isn't terribly difficult. The whole engine's sort of like modular. So if I went back in here, here's the game that we built. One thing, well, we can use the text editor real quick. I just wanted to make that second sprite like move a little bit slower. So let's just do this and save. I don't even know. I haven't even tested the text editor. There we go. It's a race. Okay, so we've done this. Let's quit the text editor. Let's go into the project and we'll just build it. And once we build it, it's going to regenerate out a new build. Where did all that go? Here we go. There's a new Twitch game. Let's throw this here. That's strange. Oh, right, this is a zip. Move this to the trash. All right, so I gotta look into why it's not loading up the zip file or the .pva file. But here we'll use zip. We'll expand it out. So eventually what will happen is that there'll just be a project. When you do a build, it'll give you a Unity template that just runs this game. I have not gotten that far yet. So we can close this out, quit. And now if we just rerun this, boom, we now have the same game we are running in the game creator, and it's just here now running the Lua. So there's a slight performance hit that you get with Lua. I mean, obviously I'm recording the screen, so I'm getting a lot of performance hits, and it's driving me nuts. This isn't the right, well, so if you did a 16:9, this is what it's going to see. It's basically going to center this because the, in fact, one of the cool things we can do. So this, the Lua runner that I have as a demo, let's set this to like 0. Oh, hey. Why can't I change that file? Strange. All right. Here you go. Help. All right, so let's set this to 0. And if we came back here, I believe we can just hit Control or Shift 1. So I'm still running in Unity, and because this is reloading the Lua VM, I can do all my editing here. So let's set this back to 32. Oh, the thing that I did want to show you, so like, right, set this to 40, and let's also set, no, I think that was it. Oh, I wanted to change the color. The color was ugly. Let's make this 0 and make this 5. That's right. So now part of the runner that I built allows you just to hold down like Shift 1 and it'll just restart it, and you don't have to recompile. So as long as you're doing this with Lua, the scripting engine sort of runs as is. It's looking like really nasty and scaled, but normally the resolution I run this at is 512. Whoops. This is 480p, and this is 512 by 480. There we go. So that would give you the native resolution, or at least the native aspect ratio of a Nintendo. And this is sort of like the stuff I've been working on for the newer builds, is to make it a lot easier to take whatever you build in the game creator and just throw it into Unity and then output it. So in this case here, I haven't tested it, but let's go to build settings. I'm on Mac. Let's include the open scene. I don't know what that empty scene is. And let's build and run. And put this into a builds folder. And we'll just call this test game. And it should just build it out and run on the desktop. I mean, that's all the game creator is. The only difference between the runner versus like the game creator is that the game creator has like a whole layer for dealing with writing to the file system and loading up projects and exporting them and a lot of the framework stuff that's required for the tools to work, the runner just literally takes whatever your outputted game is and creates that. This is taking a while. I should move over to my PC. I have like this really powerful gaming PC, but for some reason I like being on my Mac. Hopefully the stream isn't like crapping out. Nope, stream's still running, and it's at 50%, so that's not bad. What is this thing, building a WebGL? All right, so there we go. So we can leave it at this. We'll just play it. And it should just run. Oh, it's gonna go full screen. I wonder if OBS will actually display it. There you go, there's a Pixel Vision 8 game running right on my desktop. I'll just take a second to watch the stream, or wait for the stream to catch up. So, oh hey, it is working at full screen. There we go. So Pickle Power. So the Lua script is meant to allow the playground-like functionality of the Game Creator Pro, then to make a standalone. Yeah, so that is part of it. There's another download folder when you buy the Pro that gives you a bunch of different runners. So there it gives you a Mac runner, a precompiled Mac runner, a precompiled PC runner, and a precompiled Linux runner. The HTML5 is built in. And what that basically does is that if you do a build, it'll give you binaries for all those. The only thing is that the Mac won't work if you build on a PC. I don't know why it won't work for the precompiled, but so yeah, but at the end of the day, you can just also do this by hand and make a manual build. I think that the output that the game creator generates is going to have like some branding on it. If you do it in Unity, you just remove it. There's no preloader, there's nothing. It basically just runs as is. So, and then, you know, if you look at some of these other demos, like what's a pretty easy demo to look at? Like if we look at the font demo, so like here's the font demo. We run this and you'll see it just displays a bunch of text to the screen. There's a Unity version of it that's just pure C#. And again, it's going to do the same exact thing. And all I did was just port the code over. So if you go into the scripts folder and you look at the chips, no, wait, that's not it. In this case, you'll look at the scripts folder here and we look at the font demo. I'll load this up and then streaming assets, demos, font demo, code. So this is the code that runs this demo, and Rider should be opening up shortly. I bet you Rider and OBS are going to have some problems. And Rider like boots up, it like goes through all the files, but and I haven't made this. I haven't made the text larger. Actually, I should do that. Preferences. This stream is all about testing everything. Editor, font. Let's set this to 24 for the people in the cheap seats. Okay. Why didn't that font demo game chip? Okay, I swear that I told it to increase the font. Current editor defined in the color scheme. Color scheme font. Whoops, that's too big. There we go. All right, so yeah, so Unity basically have a big texture that you treat like a bitmap. Yeah, that's all that it's doing. It's just everything is all software rendered inside of Pixel Vision 8, so it just deals with indexing it basically renders to a virtual screen that has color index IDs, and then the output to Unity just converts those to Unity colors. And Pixel Vision 8 is the API. It's the basic, it's the foundation. Then there's like a layer on top that's Lua that just calls those APIs and exposes it, so you can just do the Lua scripting. But as you can see, like the stuff is pretty similar. If I put this side by side, because the APIs are basically one for one with C#. There's like a few extra things, but here you'll see when you get to like init. I mean, like this is just, you just have to convert with the variables. And then when you get to init, it's literally line for line. I mean, the only time you're going to get like changes is going to be when you have to convert something like, instead of local in Lua, you would do var or something in C#. And that basically gives you everything you need, and the drawing APIs are the same. So there's like a few things that I did, I think, when I was converting over. Like in C#, you just have to call the base update method, which I got to try to figure out how to get around so that you don't have to do that. But other than that, everything is pretty straightforward. Even this method here, where I use it to wrap text, I just converted it. It didn't take me very long. I mean, this is obviously isn't a very complicated thing, but if you look at something even like the what was the other demo? I think it's the micro platformer. I just went through and just ported this whole thing over, and you look at scenes, micro platformer. This is the Lua version. Eventually. There you go. Oh, it's running really slow. Why so slow? I don't know, something must be like eating up my laptop's resources. I'm probably gonna look into do this on my desktop. I mean, this thing is just eating up half of my resources just to display. So that's the Lua version, and then if I switched over to the Unity version, that'll probably run faster, but Unity also really hates it when you switch out of it and then back to it in the Mac. I noticed like it drops like 20% of its frame rate. But you'll see like they're basically the same. It's actually running strangely slow as well. All right, well, hey, this has been a lot of fun. I'm actually shocked that people just automatically started jumping into the stream. So that's a good sign. People missed me. And hey, I spent 2 hours promoting Pixel Vision 8. That was a success. And I think for the most part the stream works. I just got to look into how to get the